Hey everybody, it's Chris Belote with Innovative. Today I have with me Dean with Nexus Renovations. Dean, how are you?
Good, Chris. How's it going?
Going well. Dean, if you could tell everybody a little bit about your business, the services you offer, areas served, things like that.
Yeah, it's called Nexus Renovation. We do pretty much any type of remodeling, interior, exterior, residential, commercial, that you can possibly think of. We service the North Dallas area, mostly like Northeast Dallas, but we go down as far as probably East Dallas to like Rockwall, that area, and then over as far as like Celina. It's a good span of the metro area.
Awesome. What would you say makes our marketing service or lead gen different from maybe other marketing or lead gen options you've tried in the past?
Yeah, I've had a remodeling company in the past, and then I shut it down. I started it back up, and shortly after I started it back up this time, it's probably a good 7 or 8 year break in between. Obviously the landscape has shifted from a marketing perspective on what to do and what not to do, right? A lot more technology out there than it was, we'll call it a decade ago. But the things that I found out, with your company, with Innovative, um, I tried the Facebook stuff. I didn't really get very far. I tried doing the Google stuff by myself, but unless you really have the time to dive in and really understand SEO and mapping and all that, like there was no way I was going to get my head wrapped around that and be able to maintain a business at the same time. So there were different things smaller things, obviously word of mouth, that always helps, but trying to get your business up and going, you need a little bit more than the word of mouth to get it going. So I think the things that Innovative really did for me was more along the lines of getting me where I needed to be on Google, right? Got me up to #1 in the area. Started tracking those phone calls coming in and out, seeing what those phone calls were, monitoring them, right? If they were spam, for instance, we could block that for the future. If they were a good lead, then great. Then we know that that's working in that particular area. If we wanted to target another area, like say we were getting stuff down in Rockwall, but there was one point I asked Aaron to do it out in McKinney. We would, flip it and go that way. It worked out where I was able to focus more on the business itself than the marketing piece of it.
Right. Awesome. And the quality of leads were pretty good.
Yeah, the quality of leads for me were great. There was times that, I got the spams, you're always going to get that. And I would say the majority of the good leads I got, the real leads, I was probably able to close probably 70 to 80% of them. My company wasn't geared towards volume. It was geared more towards, or transactional, right? Either one. It was geared more towards that white glove treatment, so I wasn't looking to do but 1 or 2 jobs at a time. So I think that translated over into being able to get more business off those leads that I got.
Absolutely. How much new business in dollars do you think you were able to quote and or close roughly since you started working with us?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I would probably have to say, when I looked at the books, it was somewhere between $250,000 and $350,000. But you got to remember too, right? Like that. So some people that may be a lot, to some people that may be a little, right? But for remodeling, that's probably not a whole bunch of money if you really put it down, into what you're thinking about. But again, I was only looking for 1 or 2 jobs, at a time, at a month. So I wasn't looking to get slammed, right? And we kind of tailored that, Aaron and I kind of tailored that so I wouldn't get slammed. But point being is that I'm saying, like, while some people may look at that number and say it's big, or some people may look at it and say it's small for the period of time, looking for what I needed it to do, within, and this is true fact, within 3 to 4 months, that business was paying for itself based on the leads I was getting.
Awesome. Love to hear that. What is the additional revenue done for your business and for you personally?
Yeah, so the big thing for me was I was I was in a unique situation also, where I wanted to take about a year or so with this business, and just everything I made, I dumped back into the business. So that's what I did, right? Like everything I made, when I say it paid for itself, it paid for everything. All my software, it paid for. My insurance, it paid for. Legal documents that, you have to get up with customers, it paid for that. I had a project management application that I used that was a monthly cost. It paid for that. Obviously, the marketing, it paid for that. There was a period of time where Aaron and I also did the pay per leads through Innovative. It paid for that. So, like I said, I mean, the revenue that I took in, it completely paid for that business after 3 months.
Awesome. Awesome. What would you now? Obviously, there's a ton of marketers out there, right? I think as of this recording, there's 140,000 in the U.S. What would you tell someone that wanted to work with us but was on the fence?
Yeah, I would tell them, number one, a marketing company is a tool, right? It's not the end all be all, right? You still got to go out there. You got to sell your business. You got to do the work. You got to do everything else, right? The marketing is just going to get you in front of the customer. The thing that I would say about Innovative is that, is very hands-on. And when I say that is I could reach out to Aaron at pretty much any point in time. And within the same day, I would get a response back. So it's very customer focused, right? There was metrics out there, like I was saying, where we would say we were working down in Rockwall for a while. I was like, let's try McKinney. So we moved it over to McKinney. I started getting leads there. So, like it could flip on a dime too, if we needed or wanted it to. Again, it's marketing, so it's not going to happen overnight. But, the relationship that I had with Aaron, the data that I was able to see, the calls that were coming in, the stuff that he was able to do as far as blocking spam and stuff like that. So getting rid of some of the noise, right? I think that was the big game changer for Innovative with me.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to comment on or say about your experience working with us or Aaron?
I enjoyed it. I was really stressed out, opening your own business, a small business. It takes money, it takes time, it takes a leap of faith. But like I said, within that first 3 months or so, I started, the business starts paying for itself. So I never really had to stress too much about where I was going to, or how I was going to keep the business going. It was a good experience. It's very customer driven, focused on me. They understood what I needed, what I wanted. Like I said, I wasn't looking to blow it out of the water with, 50 leads a week. Maybe some people are in certain businesses. I wasn't. I was looking for 1 or 2, and that's what I got. So I got what I asked for, and what I signed up for. So no, it overall was a good experience. The thing I would say again to those people that are out there, right? Marketing, a marketing firm is a tool, right? It's not going to be the end all be all. Choose that tool wisely, right? If I was in someone else's shoes, I would go back through Innovative again.
Awesome. Well, hey, we appreciate working with you and look forward to continue growing with you as we move forward. Thanks for your time, Dean.
All right, bud. Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon.